Late in the morning of Friday the 25th of September, my rabbit Snowball passed away. She had some sort of an infection in her cheek, and we had been trying to take care of it. We were doing our best to heal it. We were keeping an eye on it, and we just realized that we needed to take her to the vet. The day that we got the vet appointment scheduled, we had it scheduled for the next day, and I went outside to take care of her, to make sure that she was cleaned up for the vet office. She's an outdoor bunny, so she had mud all over herself. You know, we've been getting a lot of rain the last week, so outdoor bunnies are gonna get messy because they're outdoors. That morning that I went to go clean her up, I went out to her hutch, and I saw her hunched over in the corner, farthest away from her food dish, and she was hunched over, and she has arthritis. She had arthritis, so I figured it was just her arthritis acting up. I did my best to get her to come to her food dish. Whenever I saw that she wasn't coming to her food dish and she wasn't responding to my hand commands like, "Come here, bunny," and it really scared me because she's my bunny. I love her to death. I got a blackberry, I took it outside, I took it over to her, and that brought her over right away. As I was watching her move towards my hand, I saw her struggling so much to move. I thought it was something wrong with her paw, but it was something wrong with her back. I pet her for a little bit. I tried to let her know that she was loved and that she was okay as long as I was there. A couple hours later, I come back outside, and she wasn't moving that much, so I was trying to be careful with her. I picked her up and I put her on her back, which is a really controversial issue with bunnies, but she trusts me a lot and it was the only way to clean her up, so I have always been careful when I do that. I had a washcloth. It had lukewarm water on it. Whenever I looked at her, basically her pubic area, it was completely swollen. It scared the living day out of me. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't too concerned about it. I knew that she was going to the vet the next day, so it wasn't something to be super freaked out about. I have no clue in that moment in time what was wrong with her. I didn't know how that happened. I can't stand looking at an animal in pain. It freaked me out so much. I run back upstairs into the kitchen. I holler to my dad, "What's going on?" But I can't do it. I cannot look at her. I couldn't stand to do that. I started crying, and my dad wound up having to come out there and clean her up. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. The next morning, I go outside. I'm hoping that she's doing better because we cleaned her up. We tried to disinfect the area the best we could. I did a deep clean of her hutch the night before so that it wouldn't continue happening. She hadn't moved from the spot she was in the night before, and I think she was in that spot all night long. And I would go to grab her, and she was still struggling with moving. I get her inside. The carrier is in the kitchen. I set her down, and she's been to the vet a couple of times in the last year, so she knew what was going on. The only time she ever saw that thing was whenever we were taking her to the vet. He went right into the carrier, and I had it undone and everything so that it was easier for her to get in. I was preparing myself before we took her to the vet that we might have to put it out that day, and we got her to the vet. My dad explained to the vet what was going on, and we went back home. They said that they would let us know by 11 whenever her visit was done. They called before 11 saying that she had an infection in her tooth, and she also had an infection in her uterus. There was a surgery that they could do on her to remove the infection, but the problem is all the time, cat. Okay, quick interruption because my cat just wants to come say hi right now. The problem that comes along with that is that at the age that she was at, any concern that we always had about her health always came back with, she's getting old. There's not much that you can do about it. And removing it would be a lot more comfortable, possibly, for her than putting her down. If we put her through a surgery, she could be in a lot of pain recovering. It may be a lot worse for her. So I knew immediately whenever my dad told me that we would have to put her down. I had to go back to the vet to say my goodbyes to her because I had prepared myself for the thought that we would have to put her down. It hurt a little less. She watched me grow up, and I watched her grow up. She was my childhood. I've known for a long time that I didn't want her to see me crying if we had to put her down. I wanted her to remember me as happy that I was seeing her. I thought that I wasn't going to be able to keep it together. We got to say our goodbyes to her in a private room. She wasn't in any pain whenever I saw her. They had given her a medication that relieves her pain. I was brave for her. I was smiling at her the whole time. I was petting her. I was kissing her. I didn't cry at all, and I'm so happy that it went so well. Every time it rains, it will remind me of her. Every time I see blackberries or blueberries or any of the fruits and veggies she ate, it will remind me of her. She loved to bounce around in the rain and just sit there and get soaked by it. Okay, I keep rambling at this point, so I'm just gonna go, and thank you guys for watching and supporting me through this, I guess.